Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This is your NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2 results from over the weekend. Pre-show opened up with Renee Young, live from the Barclays Center from Mauro Ranallo and WWE Hall of Famer Lita on the panel. Renee and Lita's 1 year anniversary of broadcasting together. They plugged the network and the show. We're going to look at the show with Byron Saxton talking to Shinsuke Nakamura and NXT champion Samoa Joe. We'll see a video from earlier with Nakamura arriving. Also see Joe arriving and being met by security, apparently sent by General Manager William Regal. So back to the panel before Charlie Caruso shows us a bunch of rowdy NXT fans outside. We go back to the panel for a video and discussion on tonight's NXT Women's title match. Mauro goes with Asuka to retain, while Lita predicts Bayley will win the title again. The panel talks about Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. We see a video from earlier with Bobby Roode arriving. Roode talks to Andre DeMarco, dissing Brooklyn, and says he's taking NXT to the next level tonight and making it glorious. The panel talks Roode versus Andre Cien Almas. Mauro predicts Roode to win while Lita goes with Almas. Backstage with Andrea and Billie Kay. She says Ember Moon is going to be a loser tonight in her debut. Billie plans on showing why she's the NXT Women's Champion. We go back to the panel where Lita warns Billie to focus on Ember Moon before worrying about the title. Charlie is down at ringside and as fans make their way in to the arena. Charlie plugs the WWE Network and we get a video for the NXT Tag Team title match. Mauro predicted new champions in Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Lita agreed. Renee leads us to a video for tonight's main event. Lita and Mauro also predict the new NXT champion tonight. That's it for the pre-show. TakeOver Brooklyn opens with a great video package on NXT Superstars looking back at 1 year ago. Live from Barclays Center with a hot crowd. Tom Phillips welcomes us. He's joined by Corey Graves. And like on Raw, their set is away from the ring. No Way Jose versus Austin Aries. Go right to the ring. Out comes No Way Jose to a pop. He's accompanied by a big conga line. Aries is out next, also to a nice reaction. They lock up and Aries goes to the corner. They meet again as fans chant for Aries. Jose unleashes and takes control after a big slap. They run around the ring and back in with more offense by Jose. Aries goes back and Jose nails him on the floor. Jose stops Aries from heading up the ramp and beats him back to ringside, sending him into the apron and back in the ring. Jose runs into an elbow and Aries goes to the top. Jose cuts him off, but Aries brings him back neck first over the top. Aries unloads on Jose now. Aries keeps control and works on his neck for a 2 count. Aries keeps Jose grounded. Aries with another 2 count after another big elbow drop. Jose rallies and fights back, tossing Aries over the top to the floor. Jose brings it back in and keeps control, but the referee has to back him off. Aries drops Jose on his knees and gets a last chancery applied for a pop. Jose makes it to the bottom rope and breaks up the pinfall or submission. Jose gets up and rocks Aries. They trade shots. Aries drops his elbow pad but misses the roaring elbow. Jose hits a TKO for a close 2 count. Aries blocks the full Nelson slam and sends Jose to the floor. Then Aries nails a big dive into the barrier. Aries drops Jose over the second rope and brings it back in. Aries with a corner drop kick. Jose counters and drops Aries on his head for a close 2 count. More back and forth action as Aries hits the big elbow and Jose comes right back and floors him. Aries blocks a full Nelson slam again and again. Aries with a crucifix bomb and then another corner drop kick for a 2 count. They end up on top again with Jose taking control. Aries hits a shot to the throat and a sunset bomb to the mat. Aries applies the last chancery and Jose taps out. After the match, Aries gets up as Jose tries to recover. Aries has his hand raised, and we get replays. Aries attacks Jose while he's trying to get up. Aries locks in last chancery again, keeping the hold locked until the music hits. Out comes Hideo Itami to a big pop. Aries stands up, and he's wide-eyed. Itami comes out in a suit and enters the ring. Itami takes his jacket off, but Aries decks him. Fans boo as Aries attacks. Itami turns it around and knocks Aries down around with strikes. Itami nails a GTS to a big pop. Aries hits the corners to pose for the fans. We see Ric Flair at ringside. We also see NXT champion Samoa Joe backstage warming up. Shinsuke Nakamura has Funaki and Kota Ibushi in his locker room. Billie Kay versus Ember Moon was up next. Back to the ring, out comes Billie Kay. Ember Moon, the former Athena, is out next to a pop. Back and forth to start. Ember quickly shows some impressive offense and gets the upper hand. Billie ends up turning it around and getting a close 2 count. Billie mounts Ember with strikes. Billie keeps control, but it gets frustrated at Ember fighting back. Billie with a nasty rack applied now. Ember makes a comeback and it gets a 1 count. Billie cuts her off and scoops her on her shoulders again. Ember fights out and makes another comeback. Ember with a suplex and a neck breaker. She gets riled up and nails a nice move in the corner. Ember goes to the top and hits a O-face for the win. Winner of the match, Ember Moon. After the match, Ember gets a pop and celebrates as we go to replays. They air a pre-show video of Bobby Roode arriving again. We get a video package for the next match. Bobby Roode versus Andre Cien Almas. Back to the ring, Bobby Roode comes out to a really glorious entrance, and the Barclays Center sings along. Andre Cien Almas is out next. Back and forth to start with a big stalling and showing off by Bobby. Almas goes up top, but Roode hits the top rope and cuts him off. Roode goes to work and unloads on Almas. Almas comes out of the corner with chops, but Roode stops him. Roode with a chop of his own. Roode keeps control and hits a nice suplex for a 2 count. Roode keeps Almas grounded. Almas ends up drop kicking Roode off the top. Almas leaps out to the floor and takes Roode down with a springboard corkscrew plancha. Almas brings it back in and hits a corkscrew crossbody for a 2 count. More back and forth as Almas drops Roode on his face for a 2 count. Almas ends up getting caught by a huge clothesline from Roode. Roode covers only for a 2 count. Pan chop for Roode as he takes Almas to the top for a super German suplex. Almas knocks him to the mat, but ends up landing on his feet. More counters and back and forth. Almas blocks a fisherman suplex and rolls Roode up for a 2 count. They trade shots in the middle of the ring. Almas drops Roode with a kick in the corner and nails the running knees. Almas goes for the hammerlock DDT, but Roode uppercuts him. They trade holds and Almas nails a big boot. Roode catches Almas in a nice spine buster, which is his setup for NXT. As Roode plays in the crowd, nails a glorious bomb for the win. After the match, Roode stood tall over Almas, and his glorious exit begins. We get replays and come back to Roode posing under the spotlight. Announcers lead us up to a video from earlier today with Triple H and the crew from Orange County Choppers unveiling the trophy that the WWE Cruiserweight Classic winner will receive. We come back to the arena and we see the CWC competitors at ringside along with the OCC guys. We go backstage to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano as they prepare for tonight's title shot. Video package for that match, NXT Tag Title match. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus The Revival. We go to the ring, out comes Tommaso and Gargano to a pop. Next, we got the Tag Team Champions Dash and Dawson out next. We get formal ring introduction from Greg Hamilton. Dawson starts off with Ciampa. We get some stalling by the Revival early on. Dawson goes back in and goes at it with Ciampa. Gargano gets a shot before tagging in. Double team Dawson and stand tall as the fans cheer for him. Gargano gets a 1 count. Fan chant Johnny Wrestling at Gargano. Dash is now in as the Revival takes control of Gargano. Dawson goes back in, but Gargano turns it back around. Dawson takes control, and in comes Dash to work Gargano over. Gargano avoids a double team, and this leads to both teams facing off in the middle of the ring. They start brawling as the fans pop. Dawson gets sent to the floor. Gargano drops Dash. Dawson pulls him to safety to avoid a double team, but Gargano and Ciampa nail dives and knees to the floor. Fans cheer as they come back into pose. Ciampa tries to fight off a double team, but they get the upper hand. Dawson with a 2 count. More tags as the double teaming from the Revival. Dawson with another 2 count on Ciampa. The Ciampa fouls out of a hole and out of the corner. He decks Dash off the apron. Ciampa rolls Dawson up for a close 2 count. Dash comes back in. Ciampa fights them both off. Dawson pulls Gargano off the apron and stops the tag. The Revival goes back to double teaming Ciampa for a close 2 count. Ciampa trying for a tag, but they cut him off. Dawson keeps Ciampa grounded. Gargano finally gets a hit tag, but the referee doesn't see it. Fans are booing. Revival takes advantage and gets another 2 count. Dawson knocks Gargano off the apron, but misses Ciampa in the corner. Gargano finally gets a hot tag and unloads on his opponents. Gargano with a rolling kick to the head and a neck breaker for a 2 count. Gargano with more offense and close calls as fans chant for him. More back and forth action as fans chant, "This is awesome now." Dash with a close 2 count on Gargano after a DDT. Ciampa gets the submission on Dawson as Gargano stops Dash from entering the ring. Dash kicks him away and breaks Ciampa's hold. The Revival double teams Ciampa, but Gargano nails a spear to break it. Ciampa with a 2 count on Dawson. Fans chant NXT now. Dawson and Ciampa trade a bunch of shots in the middle of the ring. Revival hits a shatter machine on, but Gargano nails one of them. Ciampa kicks out at 2. The finish sees a double super kick on Dash for the pin, but the referee calls the bell off. Foot was on the bottom rope. Fans boo as apparently Dawson had something to do with it. Double team Dash now. Dawson pulls him to safety. Dawson sends Ciampa into the ring post. Gargano knocks Dawson off the apron. Dash takes Gargano's knee out from behind. Dawson tags in and holds Gargano down as Dash nails a big stomp from the top. Trying to injure the knee, Dawson applies a reverse figure 4, and Gargano eventually taps out. After the match, Dash and Dawson stand tall with their titles as they go to replays. They come back to Gargano and Ciampa sitting down in the ring as the Revival heads to the back bragging. They leave and the fans start cheering for Gargano and Ciampa, giving them a standing ovation. They leave together with Gargano selling the knee injury and apologizing to his partner. We will see Charlotte at ringside and to get a promo for tonight's women's title match. NXT women's title, Bayley versus Asuka was up next. Bayley was out first. As women's champion was out next. We get formal ring introductions from Greg Hamilton. We meet in the middle of the ring as the referee raises the title as we get the bell. They size each other up early on and trade holds back and forth for a minute. Bayley comes off the top from the corner but lands on a sick knee as Bayley sells the injury and rolls to the floor as Asuka laughs. Bayley comes back in and Asuka goes to work on her. Asuka with a hip attack in the corner. Asuka continues to laugh as she keeps control of Bayley. Bayley turns it around in the corner, but Asuka quickly drops her. Bayley shows some frustration as Asuka casually strolls around the ring. Fans are duly chant for both of them. Asuka with some kicks on the apron. Asuka with a big running kick from the floor. Comes back in and takes her time before covering for a 2 count. Bayley finally gets some offense going as she unloads on Asuka. Bayley drops a knee and covers for a 2 count. Bayley rams Asuka back into the corner and drops the back elbow. Asuka sends her to the apron and decks her. Asuka runs the ropes for a hip attack, but Bayley sidesteps. Asuka gets hung up in the ropes as Bayley unloads on her. Bayley drops Asuka and goes to the top for a springboard crossbody and a 2 count. Fan chant for Bayley as she goes back up top. She kicks Asuka away and goes for a crossbody move. Crossbody, but moves. Asuka nails a Shining Wizard for a 2 count. Asuka takes Bayley to the top for a superplex, but Bayley fights it off. Bayley slides out and turns Asuka upside down in the corner. Bayley drops a big elbow and covers for a 2 count. They shove each other from the mat and trade shots, getting to their feet. Asuka with a big hip attack. Bayley with a running boot. Asuka drops her into a submission. They trade pin attempts and counters. Asuka gets an ankle lock. Bayley rolls through and Asuka keeps it locked. Bayley finally kicks Asuka off. Asuka with a big right hand. Fans with more dueling chants as Asuka unloads with kicks. Bayley catches a kick and dares Asuka to hit her in the face. Asuka unloads as Bayley puts her fist up. Bayley with a backside for a close 2 count. Bayley with more strikes. Bayley runs into a spinning back fist. Bayley catches a leg, but her ankle goes out and she falls. Bayley slams Asuka face first and covers her for a 2 count. Asuka immediately goes for the Asuka lock, but barely gets it applied. She pulls back and gets it locked in. Bayley fights up and hits the Bayley to belly for a 2 count. WWE Network goes in and out. Comes back with more counters. Bayley with a 2 count. Asuka with a big kick to the head. Bayley gets up at her and takes another kick and goes down to her knees. Asuka puts her down with a round kick and covers for the win. After the match, Asuka recovers. As Bayley is down, we see Becky Lynch and Women's Champion Sasha Banks looking on from ringside. Asuka takes her title and hits the corner as we go to replays. We come back and Asuka helps Bayley to her feet. Fan cheer as Asuka checks on her and they hug. Good sportsmanship. Asuka leaves with the title in the air as Bayley looks on from her knees. Fans start cheering and she also gets a standing ovation as we know that she's headed to the main roster. Fans chant, "Thank you, Bayley," as she gets to her feet and takes it all in. She goes to ringside and hugs Sasha, Becky, and goes over to Charlotte for a hug. She then hugs her mom and superfan Izzy before heading to the back. We got a promo for tonight's main event. After seeing the participants backstage warming up, Finn Balor, Mick Foley, and Noel Foley are shown at ringside. NXT title match. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. Joe's gonna kill you. Maybe not. Violinist Lee England Jr. comes out and begins a crazy introduction to Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance. Nakamura's out next to a big pop. He takes his time heading to the ring as fans pop and Violinist follows. Fans chant Nakamura's name as we wait for his opponent. His music hits and out comes NXT Champion Samoa Joe to a good reaction. Some fans chant Joe's name as he walks to the ring. He enters and they mix up just a little bit before Hamilton does formal ring introductions. Fans are hot already. Well, they ought to be for a main event. Bell rings and fans sing Nakamura's theme song as they size each other up. They lock up and go to the corner. They lock up again and Joe hits a kick. Nakamura fights back. Joe slaps him. Nakamura takes Joe down to the mat and they trade holds. More back and forth action. Joe ends up retreating to the floor and bringing Nakamura out. More singing by the fans as Nakamura turns it around. With strikes, Joe with a big chop. That sends Nakamura to his knees on the floor. Joe brings it back in at the 8 count. Joe nails a big shot in the corner and an insecure to drop Nakamura again. Joe eats a right hand and Nakamura nails a running knee to the face. Nakamura misses the knee from off the apron and lands hard on the floor. Joe runs the ropes and nails a big dive onto Nakamura. Joe keeps control with more strikes and then an elbow drop for a 2 count. Joe goes on and hits a power bomb, then tries to make Nakamura tap with a submission. Wonder if it's a rear naked choke. Joe pulls back on a cross face and has the kick out at 2. Nakamura nails a kick to the face, but it doesn't knock Joe down. Nakamura with more strikes to take control. Nakamura puts Joe over the top rope and nails a big knee to the gut. Joe fights Nakamura off, but takes another knee. Joe catches him in an inverted atomic drop and drops him, but misses the senton. Joe fights off with a hold, but Nakamura gets him down and knees him into the head. Nakamura with more knees. Nakamura charges the corner, but Joe slams him. Joe takes him up for the muscle buster, but it's blocked. Nakamura nails a second rope kick. They get up and trade shots in the middle of the ring. They both unload until Joe fires back and turns Nakamura inside out. Joe gets caught in the arm breaker, but Joe tries to fight it off. Joe turns that into a cloverleaf submission, but Nakamura makes it to the bottom rope. Nakamura blocks a coquina clutch, but Joe goes back to it. Nakamura rolls out, but runs into a sick knee to the face for a 2 count. Joe with elbows. Joe gets the clutch locked in again. Nakamura gets his foot on the bottom rope and breaks it again. Joe takes him back up top for a muscle buster, but Nakamura fights back. Nakamura comes down and nails a big German suplex. Nakamura charges for the Kinshasa, but Joe catches him with a power slam for a 2 count. Joe goes back for the muscle buster, but has to hit an enziguri first. Joe nails the muscle buster, but Nakamura kicks out at 2. Fans sing Nakamura's music, theme song. Nakamura blocks a muscle buster again and nails the Kinshasa. Joe kicks out at 2 as the fans go wild. So they're trading finishers. Nakamura with a big shot to the back of the neck. Nakamura with another Kinshasa for the win. Winner, new NXT champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. After the match, Nakamura celebrates as trainers check on Joe. Apparently, he's got a broken jaw. We go to replays and come back to Nakamura celebrating with the goal. Joe has been escorted by the back to the trainers. We get another replay of the finish as Nakamura celebrates with a big pop. It's a fan singing his theme song. Takeover goes off the air with Nakamura standing tall in the ring. I'll give you more results, as I think Joe posted on Twitter that he will return soon. Thanks again. Peace out. See you when I'll be here. By the way, if you don't know, just call me bro and sisters.